The following is a Sports Ethos presentation. Yo, welcome to another edition of Roundball Ramble. I am your host, Corbin Ford. You can follow me on Twitter at CorbinNBA. Like the intro says, this is a Sports Ethos presentation, so check out Sports Ethos on Twitter at, pretty simple, Sports Ethos, SPORTSETHOS, online, sportsethos.com. I tell you, I'm really not kidding. It's that simple. Sports Ethos, SPORTSETHOS. I had to repeat it for myself because I almost forgot how to say it. That simple, though. Not only do they have your fantasy basketball, your general basketball takes from yours truly, but we also got baseball, football, just regular gambling advice, all that. You want it? They have it. So check them out over there. Also, listeners, please take a moment to follow at Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter. The single most dominant basketball and fantasy news feed on earth. Get all of your NBA news in one handy Twitter feed. It's fast in the competition and provides more analysis too. Again, that's at Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter. Follow now. All right, y'all. Today, by the time y'all listen to this, will be the 24th of March. We are getting out of March into April, which is crazy. We are approaching the final week of the NBA season, at least the regular season that is, which is also crazy. And joining me here, we just talking hoops. I would say to break it all down, but there's no guarantees we're going to do that, is my friend, my brother, SBC alum, Miguel Hildago. You can find him on Twitter at Miguel HR22, and definitely make sure you do worth the follow across NBA, WNBA, English, Spanish, talking about all of it. Miguel, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Thank you for the invite. It wasn't really an invite. It was more like, yo, you want to talk basketball? And let's do it. So I think that's better for the public. So it's going to be organic. It's going to be fun. Thank you for having me again.
Hey, man, of course, man. It's always fun to get with a friend and just talk, just kind of go at it and just have some fun. I mean, I think it's interesting because I bit my tongue again. All right. So I told Miguel before I started, I told Miguel before I started, I bit the heck out of my tongue. And like, I was eating a chicken sandwich and I bit it. And like, I don't know what I was thinking. I bit like it was the last piece of chicken on earth, which like it really wasn't. And it was Burger King. Bottom line, bit it hard, drew blood, and it's been hurting ever since. Made it hard to eat anything else. Like, it's sore. It's rough. And I just went and bit it again. But as I was trying to say before I distracted myself, Miguel, was like, so much podcasting, you come with a set topic, you go at it, and it's a good discussion. But I like the ones that are just free flowing in the sense that, we're just talking what comes to mind. Like right now,
I'm looking here.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't one. It's not like there's not a set end game in mind. There's like maybe a target time. But that's only because I bit my tongue. Like, other than that, we just good. And I think what's funny, here is I'm looking at Twitter right now, and did you see the Miami Heat little exchange between Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslem?
I haven't, but it doesn't surprise me though. Like, they're both very intense competitors, so it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at it. It's funny because Twitter goes crazy. NBA Twitter is really weird on like any scraps and altercations and anything basketball related. If you played basketball, like some of this is just part of the course. It's competitive juices. It's your intensity, and yeah, that can be directed towards your teammate as well. Maybe a teammate calls you out for something that you don't agree with, or something like that, and it's just like,
I saw it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it's like I don't think it's that big a deal.
Honestly, winning teams, winning cultures will have a clash of heads. If you don't face adversity during the year, especially going into the playoffs, then you're not going to be successful. And Miami hasn't really faced, other than health issues, they haven't gone through any obstacles or any type of friction that you may say, I doubt what this team can do. So I think this is perfectly healthy. I think it's perfectly necessary. So I wouldn't be really too concerned about it. And if they need anybody, we can send Kels over there and he can just do like a weekend seminar and just get everybody on the same page. I'm sure
Oh
he's
yeah,
willing to do
yeah.
that.
He'll put up one of his, his singing voice.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh,
shout out to Kelsley. You can follow him on Instagram, not really on Twitter, but just check out Let's Ball Out.
yeah.
Social media handles are there. Kelsley, noted Heat lover, also part-time singer, I guess. But definitely a Heat fan and one who is probably not even phased by what just happened. He's like, yeah, man, that's what they need. I'm not gonna do it with Kel's voice. I don't have the energy.
Yeah, I don't have
Um,
it either.
and I wouldn't be doing it justice. But basically, he'd be chill about it. It's not a big deal. The Heat are just doing what they do on their way to win a championship, even if I disagree. But I'm a Lakers fan, so what can I do? But
I mean, I'm not a Lakers fan, but I disagree too. I think they're very complete, but I think they're still missing something.
yeah, okay, so let's talk about it. I mean, in terms of the Heat, what do you think they're missing?
A star. To be honest, they're
Yeah.
missing a star. Like we've seen through history of the NBA that winning teams have winning players. Now, the only exception that comes to my mind, and you're more or less my age, so you may think of the
Mm-hmm.
same, is the Detroit Pistons of 2003.
Four.
Four?
Oh,
Yeah,
yep. That one they beat the Lakers,
four.
so it's ingrained in my
That's
brain.
the only. Yeah, so it's the only team that didn't have a star to win, and not to disrespect Jimmy in any way, but
He's not that
I
guy.
think I think Jimmy is exactly. He's not the number one option on a championship team, but that's my opinion. I love his game. I love his story more than anything else. Like not being recruited, going to JUCO, then getting to Marquette, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't see them having that player that will get you those tough buckets when the miles count.
Yeah, no, especially you realize that the dude is shooting like a horrific percentage from three.
And he's
Like,
always been like that though.
yeah, and it's like, but I mean, he's always been a subpar to bad 3-point shooter, absolutely. But like, this is whole new levels. This is Russell Westbrook levels of like just utter incompetence from out there.
Wow.
I think StatMuse had said, yeah, this was from March 3rd, that he had made 2 of his last 23 3-point attempts. He was shooting 19% on 3, 36% from the mid-range.
That's awful.
Like, and that was from earlier this month. I'm trying to see another update of when that StatMuse is done on him, but it's like that is rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and think about it. They have the shooters that they have can't guard, and the players that can guard can't really shoot.
Yeah,
So
it's a
you're giving
mismatch.
you're giving something up at some point.
Yep. Oh, there it is. So Jimmy Butler is 3 of 31 from 3 since February.
I can shoot better than that.
That dude, I trust that you can. That's 9% from 3, and that is your go-to bucket guy. I mean, Tyler Hero has come into his own. Definitely playing more. Last week he's a shoe-in for 6th man of the year. But I think we saw in that Philadelphia game, that Philadelphia team that, by the way, didn't have Joel Embiid, didn't have James Harden, and they went and did the same play over and over. Like you knew Doc Rivers was going to run the heck out of that play, and he did, to isolate on Tyler Hero and go to work. And they scored again. I think they ended up scoring 9 out of 12 possessions on Tyler Hero. Like, and that's just an example, which Eric Spoelstra's in a pickle because he's your most reliable source of offense in that game, yet he can't defend anybody. Or when he can defend it, at that point, Tyrese Maxey was just too much on a roll. So it's like, what do you do? And I think you're right. Like, Eric Spoelstra is that good of a coach that he's been able to kind of circumvent that. But it is more of a, hey, like, what's going on here? Like, okay, are we rolling out an offensive unit? Are we deploying more of a defensive unit? Can we make enough threes or get enough offense eked out from that unit to make stops? Can we reverse that? It's a lot there.
And we talk about with Miami, we talk a lot about depth. Like we talk about Martin, we talk about Strauss. In playoff time, that lineup is going to get shorter. It's inevitable. You can't play 10 deep in the playoffs. You might want to do so, but these teams making adjustments will not give you the opportunity to do so. So, for example, if they get a matchup with the Sixers, they're not going to be able to be switching everybody and getting all the guards playing time. Like you have to focus on stopping James Harden and Tyrese Maxey. And I'm not even talking about what Embiid's going to do down low. So
That's true.
I don't know. I think they have a couple of questions. So I think this friction that they're encountering today is very necessary and may help them in the future.
I mean, hopefully so. I mean, you're right. Like maybe this is one of those trial by fire type things.
I mean, I'm a Celtic fan, so if they lose, I don't mind, because
No
if
sir up your
I
nose on that.
yeah if I match up with the Sixers, I'm not scared at all. Like my fear level is zero. I would be more scared to go against Miami. So if they lose it early, I wouldn't be concerned at all.
No, that makes sense. I think that Miami at this point is probably a shoe in for I want to say the second round.
Well, they would be going against either the Hornets or the Hawks. The Hawks have been playing good recently, but I don't think they're better than Miami in any sort of way. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think they got a second round in them.
I think that's more or less what I'm seeing as well. So I'm with you on that. Another team. Let's kind of look at the West. I think this team was having some trouble earlier against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that is the Phoenix Suns. Those 1 point game, 8 minutes left as recording this. The Wolves definitely trying to win to kind of get in that 60 battle we're currently in with Denver, although Denver currently like is in sole possession. And they're playing a Phoenix Suns team that is, of course, without the services of a Chris Paul. Um, but does have indeed a Devin Booker and have been a strong unit all season long. But the Suns are another team where I think they have more of a star in Devin Booker, but I don't think and maybe this is just me being short on my part. I've never been like blown away by the Suns. Like they're a very solid team. They play great defense. They get enough offense from around their positions. Of course, Chris Paul's a great point guard. Of course, Devin Booker's probably the best shooting guard out there right now. But like for whatever reason, I don't fear that team.
And I agree. Like if I put this team next to those Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion teams, I can't say this team is better. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really. I am a big Devin Booker fan, except when he whined in pickup that you can't double team him. But I think he's great. DeAndre Ayton, I think, is a very solid center. Chris Paul's the difference in this team. If Chris Paul's not playing, they're not going to win the championship. Like Chris
Mm-hmm.
Paul is that level of leader and assist man because he makes life so much simpler. You got low turnover ratio, so a good assist to turnover ratio. So everything is basically based on how Chris Paul comes back from this injury.
Yeah.
Uh, his conditioning may be off. His shooting may be off, at least in the beginning. They would have a favorable matchup no matter who they play on. No, you know what? I'm gonna give you some hope, Corbin. If they match up with New Orleans, then I think they easy breezy. But if they
Okay.
match up with the Lakers, a fully healthy Lakers squad,
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I think they would have a little bit of trouble if CP3 is not like 100%. Because again, you
Mm-hmm.
got the second best player of all time. Uh, Anthony Davis, when healthy, is a
I'd
top
say
10
best.
player.
I'm fine. We don't have that conversation
Yeah,
today.
we can have that conversation later. I respect your opinion. I'm really not going to argue about it because
You're
he
like it's
has,
MJ.
yeah, and you got some arguments in his favor. So I'm not
It's
going
an
to die
interesting
on that hill.
conversation. Yeah, we'll have to tackle that sometime in the future.
But I think the Lakers could put the Suns in an awkward position. Not sure if they can beat them, but they can make it really difficult for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things where when the Suns beat the Lakers last year, yes,
Mhm.
I think the Suns are a better team. Obviously, they've shown that being the second best team in the Western Conference. Lakers are seventh, yes, because of injury, but when they were healthy, they weren't like great, right? You could say that was a knock toward their lack of continuity, absolutely, but at the same time, they weren't on the Suns level. Then when the Lakers went up 2-1, I was like, okay, great. You got LeBron, who still was noticeably grounded. Remember, he wasn't jumping around dunking like before. He's more ground bound. Definitely seemed to have still dealing with the ramification of that ankle injury. And you see Anthony Davis and Davis still, kind of being hampered, but they still played great. And that 2-1 lead gave you hope that, okay, wow, the Lakers could pull this off. I was definitely on board with that. Once
Mhm.
AD got hurt again, the Suns at that point, even with the injured Chris Paul, were just too much. But like I think it's like split hairs. Like Suns fans, like, well, you're clearly the better team. It's like, well, you were down 2-1. Like, let's remember that, right? Laker
Mhm.
fans, man, if we hadn't had AD injury, we would have won. But like, the Suns were with you. It was like you guys were blowing them out. You know what I mean? Like the Suns are a good team. It was just a very thin margin of error. And yeah, you might have beaten them, but at the same time, like look at the regular season. The Suns, again, were where they were for a reason. So it is one of those things where it's like, I wish we could get some closure on it. Like, if okay, both teams fully healthy, what do we get? I just don't think even if that situation arose this year that we would get that.
I agree. I agree. Like, I believe the Suns are better. I would love to see a Phoenix Suns Lakers matchup. Like, historically, it's always been very entertaining. Uh, the Lakers this year, like you already know, like this team was poorly constructed, not a lot of flexibility. So you're just depending on the maybe best player in history. I'm gonna give you that maybe.
Thank you.
With 37, he's 37.
Yep, 37.
Trying to get you up there, that's just too much to ask, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
From him, from whoever, I don't think even Jordan could do this. So it's going to be a tough series for them. But if they were fully healthy, like with AD, I think they can make it like challenging. They probably lose, but make it challenging.
No, I know what you mean. Absolutely. I mean, at least the thought would be there to make things difficult.
Mm-hmm.
A thought that, quite frankly, isn't there right now, and I think that's weird. I want to take that from the Suns, almost the Jazz, who I think are like the Suns light. Like the Jazz definitely don't strike fear in me as a
No,
quote unquote
zero.
contention team. Like I'm not sure where that is coming from, but I don't see it, man. What are your thoughts on Utah? Because I mean, you kind of already leaked a little bit over here, but I'm not liking it.
Yeah, Utah's just. I don't see any difference from last year. Like I still think that Donovan isn't really too happy with Rudy. Uh, Mike
Mm-hmm.
Conley, super solid. I love him since his Ohio State days. The Joe Ingles injury is just horrible for this team. Yeah, Bogdanovich. I mean, it's the same thing as last year. I don't see any progress. Actually, they're doing worse this year than they did last year. So I wouldn't have any fear if I was Dallas, who's would be matching up with them. And
Mm-hmm.
Dallas doesn't fear me either. To be honest, who this is a question for you. Who do you think like strikes fear in the West? Because I see Memphis at number 2, and I'm not scared either.
No, what's funny? I don't think there is a team in the NBA this year. I will go even farther. I don't think there's a team in the NBA this year that strikes terror to me. There's not a team out there I'm looking at going, oh yeah, like I'm terrified. Like Brooklyn last year, that was a team. Miami of years past, that was a team. Golden State in between those years, that was a team. Even when LeBron and AD were together and winning, that wasn't a team you were scared of. It was a team that was good. But there's a difference between being a good team and a team that you don't want to face. And like right now, I mean, Milwaukee, they've looked very mortal this year. A lot of it going to Brook Lopez, but it still look kind of mortal. Look at Miami, they're number one, but okay. Look at Brooklyn. They're down. They don't have 3 guys. They have 2.5, or wherever Ben Simmons is. And you just barely. I guess that's the news. I mean, guys, didn't even buried the lead there. But apparently, there is news that New York is going to lift their weird kind of ruling over private workers without vaccine, so that Kyrie Irving, bottom line, will be eligible to play as soon as Sunday back at the Barclays Center. So there is the news there. But like, even with Kyrie back, I'm not scared of the Nets. Like they're a very good team, but they have injuries. They have a mismatched defensive challenge roster. There's no worry there. Philadelphia, I mean, listen, half those guys are flopped to get the line. Joel Embiid and James Harden are great. Tyrese Maxey's been good, but like, who else is there?
Right.
On a consistent basis. So we're running down these teams. Utah, come on now, give me a break. Golden State, Steph Curry's out. When Steph Curry was in, you didn't have Draymond Green. When you had Draymond Green and Steph Curry, you didn't have Clay. So, I mean, we run through 4 or 5 teams now, all are who contending, quote unquote, for the finals, and none of whom you're like worried. I don't know who comes out of the East. I can at least guess the Suns make it out the West, but I have no idea who comes out of the East.
And I think that's what makes it interesting, though, because usually in basketball is one of those sports that the best teams, you know who they are, they're going to go far. There's very little margin for error or change. So this being such a wide open field, I think it makes it interesting for us, the fans and the analysts, because again, we don't know what happens. We have Boston Celtic, Cleveland Cavalier 3-6 matchup today. That's a great series in itself. I mean, with Tatum, how he's playing, Jaylen Brown, how he's playing, and then those young guys from Cleveland, just Garland, Mobley. I mean, That would be a great series. But I agree. Like I don't fear any of these teams. But if I was Milwaukee, I would fear Brooklyn because they just got past them because uh Kevin Durant is size 15,
Mhm.
something like that. Like Kevin Durant put them in skates for a whole series. And with Kyrie being as fresh as he is, if that mandate is taken off, I think that they can make a push for them. Like nobody can stop KD. Nobody has, and nobody probably will. And Giannis is not going to be the one who stops him. So it's going to be a matchup that may be interesting. And Milwaukee isn't as, and I thought they would get better, but the loss of PJ Tucker just hindered them completely, which was so irresponsible. To not just another word. Them losing PJ, it was just horrible because
Yeah,
that
it was
was
so
the
dumb.
one. Yeah, give him his money. Like he got you a chance. Well, he
Hmm.
didn't get it, but like he was
He was
very
a big
important.
reason. He was the guy who's sticking Kevin Durant this year. If they
Nobody.
go in the playoffs, Giannis proved that he can't do. He got cooked.
You can't
All
put
right.
Drew on him because that's going to leave Kyrie like vulnerable.
Thank you. Like, who are you? Like, I don't see it. Semi Ojale? No. You know what I mean? Other guys that you have that might be there are too small and not quick enough. I mean, mind you, even on your best day, PJ Tucker didn't stop Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was still half a foot, half a toe away from knocking the Bucks out anyway. But at least he was that much resistance. Like you are giving up significantly less resistance now with anyone else you try to face Durant if you were to match up with them on the other end. Like your only hope is to say that you have enough on your end of the team to overwhelm Brooklyn. You know, but as we saw
Mhm.
last year, Milwaukee was a strong team, and even without having a full James Harden or a full Kyrie Irving, they still almost lost. So like think about that for a moment. And you're like running it back, mind you, the games aren't played on paper, they're played on the court. But if we're using what we saw on the court last year as any sort of I don't know, not a sign, but any sort of like peek into what could come, like it's not very promising for the Bucks, especially now that Kyrie would play all games.
Exactly. So honestly, on the East, I would fear the Celtics. To be honest, like they're playing
Boston, yeah.
awesome basketball. Defensively, they're just on sync. Like getting Horford back, getting Tice back, people who already know the system, because Ime Udoka isn't really changing that much from Brad Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
We were just not healthy. Marcus Smart is the best defensive guard in the NBA. I don't care. Like
Mm-hmm.
the stats prove it. Nobody can score on this dude. So honestly, I would fear playing the Celtics because Tatum thinks he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and right now it's hard to argue with him. I don't believe he's top 5, but he's playing like one.
He is, and that's why I'm not scared about Boston. I think that when their jumper's falling, all of a sudden, you know, Tatum looks like a top 5 guy. The Celtics look like a top 5 team. Like they all look great, but like think about the first half of the year where the jumpers weren't falling and their defense wasn't as good. Right now, the defense is good enough that they'll keep in some games, and you know the law of averages is skewed the opposite way, so the jump shots are falling. In my mind, is at a more abnormal rate, which is great for them. But
Mhm.
if they start fading away, I mean, your two main offensive guys are still your two guys. That's um, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You know, like in my mind, it could still go another way and quickly.
But I've seen an improvement in Tatum specifically because Tatum, and then his first years as a pro, he didn't attack the basket. He couldn't. He wasn't physical enough. He didn't have the strength, and that's understandable. I was frustrated by it, but he did do so. This year, he's
Mm-hmm.
attacking the basket a lot, and he's getting to the line, which is something that those are easy buckets for him. Like if you can make a tough 30-footer, you can make like a free throw. You should be able to.
That's the idea.
So I would, I don't know. I think that Jay's doing that change from second tier to first tier. Not there
Mm-hmm.
yet, but I don't think this team is the same as previous years though. Like I'm seeing a different aggressiveness side. I do agree with you. If the jumper's not falling, it makes it a lot tougher for them. But I don't know. I think they can. If you ask me, can they beat the Bucks? I think they can. Can they beat the Bulls? I certainly think they can.
Oh
The Sixers,
man.
like all, I can beat the Sixers anytime. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can they beat the Heat? That would be
Mm.
a fun matchup to see.
That would be something that remains to be seen. I agree with you on that. Let's take a moment to talk about Chicago because Chicago seems to be a team that is very good at beating any team worse than they are, which is good for something. But if you are just about at their level or better, it's not going to happen. Like Chicago's going to lose. I mean, the record has shown, and the numbers are not too kind. Like, what are your thoughts on the Chicago Bulls? Because I definitely see them as a finals contender. I know you didn't bring them up for a reason. No one's actually really scared of them. Like when they win, it's great. But like,
I feel LeVar Ball is having a ball, to be
ah,
pun intended. Like Le, Le, like Lonzo is very important to this team, and nobody knew how important he was until he got out. Like until he got injured, we didn't actually see how easy he made life for Levine, for DeRozan, and for everybody else. To be quite honest,
mm-hmm.
um, I knew this team was gonna fall eventually. Like I can't trust Zach Levine as a top two player in a championship caliber team. DeRozan, hey, I love DeRozan since he's playing for Toronto and so on and so forth, but he's not that guy either. He's not
No,
the
he's
number one
not.
guy in a championship team. So
Mm-mm.
I'm not surprised of the fall off. What you said, they beat the teams that they're supposed to, and that's part of the game and seeding wise. But other than that, the Sixers are gonna cook them. Like they're not gonna stop Embiid. Vucevic is just not gonna do that.
No, they're really not. There's nothing there. There's no resistance there. And yeah, Patrick Williams just returned from injury. Yeah, the loss of Alex Caruso for a big part of the season, like you mentioned, Lonzo Ball, that's a big thing. But even then, I don't see it. It just isn't something that was going to happen. And maybe next year they can improve upon it. I don't know if we're going to get as good at DeMar DeRozan year. He's surely going to be All NBA this year. The
Yeah.
whole MVP talk was a little overblown, and I think we saw that more and more with each of.
Who you got for MVP? Like that's like a strange race.
Mm-hmm.
Got
It's
you got
very
Embiid,
strange.
Jokic. Who else is? LeBron. Is LeBron like in the conversation?
Uh, Listen, I am as big a LeBron fan as you know. I'm a homer on it. I want him to be absolutely, but I can't in good conscience put him there when the Lakers are a playing team.
Okay. And
I
I
want to.
agree.
I want to. Absolutely want to. But like, yeah, this is a playing team off the bat. I can't do it to him. But like, based off his numbers, historically speaking, it's gonna be one of the great years of any player 35 and older. A bunch of records to break down, a bunch of stuff to go there. Like, absolutely, I want to say with you, but like you said, it's yeah, no, you can't. You just can't. Yeah, it's
Do we have
unfortunate,
anybody
but
else
it's the
in the
truth.
race?
Um, I'm looking at a two-man race between Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic, and right now. I'm still leaning Joel Embiid. I think he's just been more dominant this season in spots. Like, mind you, Jokic's been consistent. Jokic's been monstrous as well. But I love the performance I've seen from Embiid. I love the fact that he's kind of building off what he had last year before he got injured. And I think that's cool. And listen, in my mind, and yeah, this is why many reasons I'm not a voter, but one of the thoughts is Jokic doesn't care about it and already got it. So, like, Embiid is going for it. He's been playing that way. He's proven, like, hey, he's that guy this year. When him and when him and Jokic teamed up, that was beautiful basketball when they went head to head.
Yeah. I saw that game.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Okay. So I think this MVP race is let me see what word. Remember, I'm Spanish speaking first.
Mm-hmm.
Basically it's the same as this season. Like it's you don't see like a dominant MVP. Like
No.
it's not a surefire thing. You haven't seen anybody like put the team on their shoulders and just take them to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would give it to Embiid just because he lost Simmons. He he took the responsibility of being the number one guy for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and people like forget there was serious discussions about who the Sixers should keep, like if Embiid or Simmons. This was actually a discussion that
Which
this
is
team had.
hilarious in retrospect, right?
Yeah. So he took that challenge on. Philly's not an easy city. If you've been there, you know. So and plus getting Harden there, and him not having to adjust too much. He's a fourth seed, so it's not like he's doing anything out of the ordinary. But I don't know. I don't think they'll give it to Jokic a second year straight. It would be like Steve Nash territory, and I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I doubt it as well.
But I don't know. This MVP race it's not that fun compared to other seasons.
No, it really is, and it's like part mild intrigue, really part NBA Twitter to argue over semantics and advanced numbers and what the eye test says, and this guy's the MVP, and if you don't think so, you're stupid. You don't watch basketball. All the other useless debates, I really don't like to get into, but I'm with you on that. I think either way, it'll be interesting. Both guys are deserving, in my opinion. I'm not gonna lose any sleep if Jokic wins. Like, great,
Yeah,
this, and that's where I'm at on it. Like, I personally think Embiid. Your mileage may vary, but like, with that being said, like, if Embiid wins, great. I like that pick. If Jokic wins, okay, great. I like that pick too. You can't go wrong. And I guess that's better than having a team that could go wrong. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I'd rather have that than you do like a 2011 Derrick Rose, where, like, yes, Derrick Rose had an amazing season for his standards, but LeBron James was the MVP that year.
Interesting. Very interesting. I want to give an opinion but I don't have like the facts right now, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be responsible.
Hey, we'll bring you back in to give some more. It's all good.
Yeah, but I do remember like me wanting D Rose to win, but I have to look at the facts again. Like, too many sports, but yeah, but I'll look at that. It's very interesting. Now you have me thinking. I'll look at that 2010, 2011 season.
I'm telling you, man, it's something I thought was pretty interesting myself. I'm intrigued to see what you think about it. I think someone put the numbers out. I don't have it offhand, but that's why I'm also not going to do it. But basically, look it up. I think LeBron had it. I think I think that looking at it now, like, as time has went on, like, it's fine. It's good that Derrick Rose was played. I just feel bad now because he's gonna be one of those guys, like, oh, the first guy to not make the Hall of Fame or whatever. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, he was so talented. Though.
And in my mind is like, okay, don't put him in as a Hall of Famer, and then you want to worry about having to make this weird only thing to not make the Hall of Fame, because that's just weird. You know what I mean? Like, that's just unfortunate, and it sucks.
Derrick Rose was just a natural athlete. I can't say he's a natural basketball player, but his athleticism was off the chain. So I can feel you.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you. Natural athletes who just haven't played basketball.
And
I think now he's more of a basketball player than ever.
Yeah, and I want to talk about somebody who's not an athlete. We talk about this off the air, but I need to talk about this now. Like, let's stop this Karl Anthony Towns being the best big man shooter of all time.
There we go. Okay.
I will not permit this slander in any space that I am in. No. Did y'all not see Dirk Nowitzki play? Apparently not. Some of you. I mean, there is a stretch floor because of Dirk Nowitzki.
He's the guy who made that possible.
Yeah, like, I can understand like young people like saying this because all they've seen is positionless basketball, and that's fine. But positionless basketball hasn't been around for more than 10 years and probably less. So Dirk Nowitzki was an unheralded European phenom, but nobody knew who he was because there was no Instagram, no YouTube, nothing like that. This was just a whim by Don Nelson and his team. And after probably like 3 horrible years, rookie years, second and sophomore year, and that third year, Dirk became what he became, which is an all-time player, a Hall of Famer. He beat Miami with, we're not going to say scrubs because we're not going to disrespect Jason Kidd, Sean Marion, Jason Terry, and stuff.
Yeah, not Sean Marion after what we heard recently.
But what do we hear?
Oh, Sean Marion was on a Twitter space going off about how he's been disrespected, how he's one of the great winners of our time, how people make fun of his jump shot for no reason. Like, yeah.
I mean, not for no reason. I mean,
no. I mean, hit on the jump shot where apparently he's like, everyone has a different jump shot. Like, y'all just want to clown on mine to disrespect me. But like, I've done this and I've won this. And mind you, I agree with his winning and the fact that he does get not enough credit for that. But yeah, you gotta listen to him, man. He went on an epic like rant, expletive laden, just about how he had to make his game adjust to everyone else, how he shot 35% from three with that jump shot, and people still gave him a hard time. And Nekias Duncan wrote a great little follow-up piece, kind of basically backing up what Shawn Marion said. Like, he had a 3-year stretch where he was shooting like 50% from the field, 33% from three, and like, yeah, on 3 attempts per game, or 3 attempts per game at the time, but that was actually pretty decent considering that was the time.
So Scottie Pippen vibes is what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Scottie Pippen vibes, like just
Yeah,
people
yeah,
forget about me.
yeah, in a major way. Yep.
Okay, so Shawn Marion was very versatile. He was very important in what was the Phoenix Sun machine with Nash, Amare, Boris Diaw, Roger Bell, et cetera, et cetera. So for those who saw him play, like Shawn Marion, we will remember who he is. But history will not be kind with Shawn Marion, though. Like,
why do you think that?
Because he didn't win a championship for one. He's not like an all-time great. He's not going to be top 100 whenever they do the 100 top players in the NBA. Know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think he's been disrespected. You know what I mean? That's what's unfortunate.
And I agree. Like, I agree that he deserves some recognition, but history's not going to be kind because history lets itself be known by numbers. So somebody who didn't see him play will not see his numbers and think, oh, this dude was very important in this team. You and I know this because we saw them play. And it's just something that happens with basketball and any type of history, sports history for that matter. Like, if a player was very important but not legendary, his name is not going to be talked about, which is what happens with a lot of players like Dirk Harper when he played in Cleveland and Chicago. Not Chicago, like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We jump on different teams.
Mm-hmm. So I get it. I get his beef. But it is what it is, though. Like,
it is. Unfortunately, it is one of those things, and that's all it's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad at least he gave himself a chance that we're going to talk about him for a couple of days. Like I said, got a great piece from Nekias Duncan on him, so that's pretty good. Like, he got himself some airtime. You know, I know it wasn't his goal. It was really to put some respect on his name. Probably not what happened, but ultimately, like, that being what it was, like, listen, you know, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's not a thing right now.
You know what? You talked about him last episode. Jamal Crawford. I think it's more or less the same story. Like, Jamal Crawford is one of the greatest handlers in the history of the game. Can score the bucket anywhere. Like, literally, you can put him on top of any mountain, 100 feet above sea level, and he can make a bucket. But history's not going to remember Jamal Crawford aside from those who actually saw him play. So I guess that's unfortunate. And you and our generation, we're 20s, 30s, have to do like a better job of bringing history to light for those who are younger in generation. Like, I remember in SBC, somebody told me I haven't seen Allen Iverson play, and that shocked me to my core.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I was like, but you know what? You're right. You're 20. So I understand you're not seeing Allen Iverson. So if we don't keep his legacy, or we don't explain how massive he was, then I understand you not knowing who Allen Iverson is. It's the same thing that happens us with somebody like Kevin McHale. We never saw Kevin McHale play. All we know is history. They tell us he had the greatest footwork in the history of a big man, aside from Kareem and Hakeem. And that's probably true. Well, that's by hearsay. That's not something we actually saw. So I get it. But let's not disrespect Dirk.
No. You made an excellent point there. Like, just because we have a whole new flock of players who are taking the game and carrying it to greater and greater heights, let's not disrespect those who kind of set the boundary, who made this what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm with you there. Before I let you go, Miguel, you have any last basketball takes here? It's been a great little conversation, man. As always, I'm like, we'll make it a little short, half an hour deal, and we're going almost into an hour, but it was good. I always love talking like this. We're going to do this again.
That this is going to be a great postseason. If there's going to be upset city, it's going to be this postseason. So I think we just have to watch and enjoy. And you listen to this great podcast that my boy Corbin host
I
every week.
appreciate you,
And
sir.
also, I don't know if I can plug them, but Let's Ball Out.
Absolutely. Hey, dude, you plug whatever you want. You know we got to plug our fam from Let's Ball Out, but you have
Yeah.
open reign all the time.
Yeah, so I got two of the best basketball podcasts here with them and with Corbin. So honestly, just keep listening and you're going to have a great time.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, Miguel. Dude, we got to give this man on this show more. We got to give this man on Let's Ball Out more. This is one of our great minds from SBC. Fantastic person. My only regret is not talking to him like 3 days earlier. But there was so many people. That's what I always say. I'm like, darn it. Like, if I only met you day one. But we had like, I don't know how many people in that room, you know?
Yeah.
Only meet so many. But it was, man, just awesome, bro. You're an awesome dude. Appreciate you. Listen, y'all, make sure to follow Miguel on Twitter at MiguelHR22. For me, you can follow me on Twitter at Corbin NBA, Sports Ethos on Twitter at Sports Ethos Online, sportsethos.com. It is that simple, but that much helpful. All right. Definitely show some love there. I definitely do appreciate it. Also, one last final thing, y'all, before I let you go for today, please, I want to remind you to use the coupon code HoopBall20. Yes, I know we are Sports Ethos now, but the coupon code is still the same. HoopBall20 at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping. Also, check out our pals at mybookie.ag. Use the code HoopBall on the third page of sign up to unlock deposit match bonuses there as well. Make sure to do that HoopBall20 from manscaped.com and HoopBall from mybookie.ag. All right, y'all, that'll do it for Miguel. For myself, we are Frosty. Y'all stay frosty, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. All right, y'all. This has been a Sports Ethos presentation.